Your author career is failing if you are not treating your writing like a business. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what that means and how you should be examining your business. Just about every single business out there, including online and brick and mortar businesses, can really be broken down into three distinct components. The first, and possibly the most important, although this really is debated a lot by different people, is the product or service. This is the thing that you want to get people to buy. In the case of authors, these are your books, right? The next important component that pretty much everybody needs is some kind of marketing channel, some way of getting people to come and see your business, to actually understand what it is that you're selling, because you can't sell anything if nobody actually sees it. So we call that the channel. And then in between this is the third component, which we call the funnel. And the funnel is basically, how do you get your people who see your stuff through whatever channel you have to actually move from being just a passive viewer to being somebody who actually buys your stuff? Now, another key component that you want to make sure you have understood before you do all of this is underneath all of this, you have the avatar. And the avatar is basically, who is your target customer? Because none of this is going to matter unless you know who your target customer is going to be. And once you understand this, then you're able to find the right channel to find your target avatar. The funnel will be able to appeal to them, and the product or service will be something that they actually want to buy. Now, if you want to actually have success when you're just starting out in a business, the key is to keep things as simple as possible so you can focus all your efforts on just the one or two things that will bring you the most success. There's a book called The One Thing. I highly recommend you check it out. It is a fantastic book that illustrates this principle. If you're trying to do everything and be everything to everybody, you're never going to actually succeed. Now, one of my favorite formulas for success that I've ever seen has come from Alex Hormozi, who's an online business guru. And he has this formula that I like to use. I don't know if he came up with this formula himself, but he basically says, if you're just starting out, you're trying to make your first business work, here's how you do it. You focus on one avatar, one channel, because there are many different channels, and one product. And you only focus on these things until your business has made $1 million in annual revenue. And $1 million may sound like a lot. And if you are starting a business, it definitely can seem very daunting. But actually, if you've been in the entrepreneurship world for a while, we know that it has never been easier to make $1 million than it is today in our current environment. And that's especially true if you're only focusing all your efforts into one avatar, one channel, one product. Now, for authors, I have adapted this just a little bit because writing books tends to be a much more low ticket thing. So saying getting this to $1 million is going to be maybe a little overwhelming to start with. It's definitely possible for authors, but I'm going to try and scale that back a little bit to give you something that may seem like a little bit more of a more manageable goal. And so I've adapted this to say one avatar, one channel, this is all the same, and one genre rather than one product. And the goal is to focus on these three things until you reach a revenue of 10K per month. That is the goal I think authors should be reaching for with this. And that they shouldn't branch from the one genre, the one avatar, etc., until they have reached that goal. Now, this is going to be a little bit controversial for some, but I have found that if you focus on just one avatar and one genre, you're going to see so much more success than if you focused on 5, for example. And the reason for this is because we just don't have the time or the resources, the money, to be able to handle 5 different things at once. Add to that the fact that when you're just starting out, you may not know how to scale up a business very well. And so there's no point in trying to do 2 or 3 different genres when you haven't even figured out how to do one yet. So let's look at each of these components and see if we can break them down a little bit so they're a little bit easier to understand. And we'll start with the avatar, right? So the avatar is basically, who is your ideal audience? This is fairly simple, but the best way to define this person is to really get down into the specific details. The most important thing that you want to know is, what does this person read? What kind of books do they read? What kind of authors do they read? And you want to really focus in on that particular side of things, because that is what you need to produce if you want to appeal to that person. But it can also be really helpful to understand what are their habits, what financial situation are they in, are they going to work every day, do they have a commute, or are they stay-at-home moms, or whatever the case may be. Defining who that person is going to be important so you understand their behaviors. And if you understand their behaviors, you're going to have a better idea of what kind of product or service that they would actually like. But most important, you want to know what is it that they are reading, what genres and what authors specifically are they reading. Next, let's define the channel. All right, so there are many different channels out there, and these channels are just any way that you can get traffic to your product, any way that you can get eyeballs onto your stuff. And for the most part, these channels can be broken down into two groups. There's paid advertising and there is content marketing. Content marketing is generally more organic and therefore less money up front unless you are paying for people to produce the content. So examples of paid ads might be Amazon ads. If you've got your books on Amazon, you can do Facebook ads, BookBub ads. Examples of content marketing include YouTube, right? This is a form of content marketing for my author business. You could also do SEO if you do articles that attract people from Google. They do a search term and then end up on your site. That's another form of content marketing. And you have things like podcasts, which are also effective ways of content marketing. The only other marketing outside of those two realms is influencer marketing. So if you go to somebody and ask them to promote your work, that would be considered influencer marketing. And there's various ways you can do that are paid and organic as well. Most of the time, those are going to be paid situations where you're going to pay those people either a flat fee up front to share your work, or it could be, you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of situation, which is the case with sometimes you can share somebody else's book to your audience in exchange for them sharing your book with their audience. That's called a newsletter swap usually. That's a sort of, scratch my back type of give and take influencer marketing. But regardless, you want to really focus in on what's your channel. I personally am a big fan of organic traffic because you don't have to pay anything, and because I just like creating things. That's my favorite thing to do, is to create content. And so I'm happy for my marketing to be centered around creating content. But some people hate doing that, in which case you might want to look at paid advertising options instead. And then, of course, there's social media. You can use any form of social media, and the line between whether it's content marketing or paid advertising is a little bit more blurry with some social media because, for instance, with Facebook, it's very difficult to get attention without paying for it. But then you have platforms like TikTok, which are a little bit more on the content marketing side of things, although you can pay to get exposure there as well. And so it just depends. The point is to pick one that you think is most appropriate for your audience avatar here and go where those people are likely to be and try to create content or advertising that will appeal to those people. The next thing I want to make sure we cover is a funnel. So a funnel is basically, it's how you get those people that are viewing your content to actually come over and buy your thing. It can be as simple as creating an advertisement where people see the ad, they click the ad, they go over to Amazon and then buy your book. Amazon has already done a lot of the work for you in making this funnel look good, making your page look appealing, and also doing a lot of the goodwill because people are used to buying things on Amazon. So that's a very simple funnel. But a lot of the thing that you'll see people doing in the author space is creating what we call a reader magnet. A reader magnet is basically a short story usually, or it can go up to the size of a full book, but it's something that you give away for free in exchange for emails. So you get those emails and then suddenly you have a platform where you can promote your books to those people. That's a form of funnel. You're getting people in through the door onto your email list with a freebie of some kind, and then you sell them on your books after the fact. That's a simple form of funnel. You can get really complex with this if you write nonfiction and you have like courses or memberships or coaching that you offer, in which case you would have some kind of reader magnet that you could get people onto your email list for free. You might have a book that is like a nonfiction book that gives a little bit of information, and then you can move people up the funnel to your higher and higher ticket offers. For instance, if I have like a $200 course, I can put that in there and try to sell people on that course, and those could be actually pretty profitable. For this channel, I have a pretty simple funnel. All I do is I attract people on this YouTube channel to get new audience members, and I move them over to my email list. So I will often tell you, hey, if you go to my email list, you'll get my 40 chapter plot module cheat sheet for free, where you'll get my prompts for free, and they get on my email list. They get all that stuff for free. But then once they're on the email list, then I send a few emails letting them know about my membership. And you'll also see information about the membership in the comments below and things like that, where if you get on that membership, I'll give you some more stuff for free, plus a free trial of the membership. And then once you've been on there for a little while, then you go through in the paid membership and you get more access to me and all of that stuff. And it's an incremental funnel. All right, that's an example of a nonfiction funnel. They're generally easier to do than fiction, but it is a possibility. So a fiction funnel might look one of two ways depending on your strategy. If you are only on Amazon, or even just on all of the other retailers, probably all you'll do is you'll have a reader magnet. And from there, that will lead them to an email list. And then from there, you'll sell them on your books on Amazon. You'll send them to Amazon anytime you have a new book. From there, they'll read book 1 of your series, whatever series you have. And then if you have more books, that means the rest of your funnel goes to the whole series, right? So it looks something like this. They might start with the reader magnet. They'll move on to the email. You'll sell them on your book 1 on Amazon. And then from there, they might read the whole series. And that's the approach of the funnel. It might not go exactly in that order. There's a chance they might check out book 1 first, and then they get the reader magnet. And then later they're on your email and you sell them on the rest of the series. It depends, but in general, this is the order that you'll see it. Now, a better way to do this, if you ask me, is to take a direct selling approach. And that's not to say that this isn't a bad way to do this. This is just only if you're exclusive to Amazon. In addition to Amazon, you can also have a way of selling your books directly on your site. So the way this might work is you might run, say, a Facebook ad. Okay? And that Facebook ad leads to your reader magnet. And the Facebook ad is just a form of traffic. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Facebook ad. It could be a YouTube channel. It could be anything. But let's just say it's a Facebook ad for now. And then from the reader magnet, you give them the free thing, and then it leads them to a new page where you've got the whole series. Whole series. And one of the nice things about selling direct through a service like Shopify or something like that is that when they buy, you get their email address. So you would get their email address anyway, just through the reader magnet. But if they've gone through this whole process, you'll not only know who is interested in your freebie, but who are the people that are actually buying, which can actually go and help Facebook understand who are your buyers, which allows to share the ad with more people who are likely to buy. And it can be a really nice virtuous cycle that way. But the key to really making a fiction approach work like this is that you need to have a series, or at the very least, you need to have a bunch of books in the same genre. And this is why I say you should have one genre until you are making that 10K a month, because if you're not focused on the one genre, you're going to be trying to do this with like 1 or 2 books in different genres, and you're not going to be able to get the sort of traction to be able to afford to do all of this with just some small businesses like that. You got to think of every genre as a separate business. Okay, that's important. So let's say you write 12 books, and those 12 books, if they're all one genre, maybe all in the same universe even, you can sell the entire thing to the same avatar, to the same person. So if one of those people buys any one of your books, you can sell the entire thing to that person, which gives you a much better chance that you will get profitable with that 12 books, right? Now, let's say on the other hand, you're trying to do 4 different genres with 3 books each. You might say, oh, 4 different genres, that allows me to reach out to more people. But in fact, what you're doing is you're diluting the amount of money that you can get per business. And I can guarantee you that all of that effort that you're putting into trying to run 4 different businesses, you will get so much more out of just trying to run one business with 12 books in one genre than you would trying to do 12 books over 4 different genres, if that makes sense. Again, focus on the one thing. What is the most important thing that you can do now, and get it to that 10K a month. And then once you've got it there, then you will have not only some capital that you can reinvest back in your business, but you'll also have the know-how on how to scale a business up to that point so you can replicate it with other genres if you want to write in other genres. So to recap, you want to make sure you are treating your writing like a business if you want to succeed in it as an author. And the way to do that is to make sure you are focusing on one person as your avatar, and then figuring out from there what is the genre that they would want to read, and then figuring out the one channel that you want to find those people at, and really, please, pick just one channel. If you can specialize in that channel and get really good at it, you're going to get far more results than if you tried to market on 16 different channels. And then once you have that channel, figure out what your funnel is going to be to try and get people to buy as many of your books as possible. Now, if you like this video, I have a whole masterclass that I did on how to upload your book to Amazon so you can understand how to do that. I also give you a lot of advice on creating things like book descriptions and everything that you need in order to succeed on Amazon. So go check that out, and I will see you in the next video. I have basically a whole mini masterclass. Now, if you like this video, man, can't talk today. Ooh.